the ocean impacts every single individual on the planet, whether they are near the sea or whether they are far inland. Ocean has been the cradle of civilization. Climate is affected by the ocean. There are a number of ways the ocean benefits us, besides livelihood for hundreds of people, providing protein rich food.
Yes.
But in spite of all these benefits, we exploit the ocean by overfishing, by dumping it with garbage. We've reached the tipping point. Children need to know about it. This needs to be incorporated in the curriculum. They need to be, aware of the importance of protecting our planet.
Yes, wonderfully said, wonderful. I really learned from you, how we need to coexist. Hi, welcome to Bifocal Naturalist. Our guest today is none other than Katie Bagli, an author, activist. She's a multifaceted person who's got her finger in every pie. Today, you will see her in person and listen to the wonderful activities she conducts. Hi, Katie, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you.
It's so nice to have you here, Katie. After so long, I've been waiting to have you on my show.
Yes,
Finally, we've
thank
managed.
you.
Thank you so much for joining me. Katie, you are into so many things, activities connected with nature. How did you start it all?
I think most of my activities connected with nature began in 2011, maybe 14 years ago, when I became a member of Bombay Natural History Society. And I put my fingers in every pie, as it were, taking up different courses with BNHS, ornithology, entomology, biodiversity, lead biodiversity conservation, and so on, botany. And they were not just courses which had to be learned by reading. They were courses which involved a lot of field work. And that is where my eyes were opened and I felt so enlightened about the wonders of nature, like things, little things under a leaf, little eggs of bugs, or maybe in the leaf litter find a skink, because most of our activities were in the forest. BNHS has a reserved plot of land, some 30 acres, which has been given to them by the government for their educational activities. So it was wonderful to be there. And that is when I got nature into my blood. And I thought I should share it with everyone.
Ah, that's so lovely, to discover a skink under a stone, and in
Yeah,
Marathi we call it sap surul, sapachi maushi. That is the popular
right,
name.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And people who don't know get scared, thinking this is a snake, it is very
Yes,
poisonous.
correct,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, so it's so nice to learn
right.
about it. So, who were your mentors or your friends, with whom you started this movement?
So my mentor was, first of all, one Dr. Shubhalakshmi. You must have heard of her.
Yes,
She's
of
part of
course.
I Nature Foundation,
Yes.
and she's done a lot so far, by way of greening the environment and educating. And of course, there were a lot of like-minded people who had joined PNHs along with me. We even did our volunteer training course together. So because of our, common interests, we became very bonded. In fact, this morning I went with the same friends on the new walkway of Mumbai to see how the tree canopies are.
Uh-huh.
you know. So that's how I got involved with them also.
That's wonderful.
And
You must share pictures, of this new walk. And who
yes,
does not know Subbalakshmi, the moth lady? I mean, I think everyone knows
Absolutely.
her. I mean, she's
Yes, yes.
fantastic. Yes. So you
Like,
were also involved with a lot of urban diversity, biodiversity. Can you
yes,
tell us
yes.
more about it? Because where can you find biodiversity in a city, in a concrete jungle?
Right. In fact, recently, you must have heard of it, a little corner of Bombay in Malabar Hill,
Hmm.
a new, you can say, mini forest has been created by the RPG Foundation, which was originally called Shantivan, but they have given it a new avatar, planted many native plants, and they've curated it very well. They have an aromatic zone, a medicinal zone, and all kinds, color zone, So it's a very quaint and beautiful place because it's on a hillock, and they also have streams of water, the same water from a well which is there gets circulated. The best part is, it forms a green oasis. And if we can have more such urban green oases all over a city like Mumbai, then, that is what the vision of Radha Goenka is. To Supposing there is a butterfly or a bird in Sanjay Gandhi National Park, that butterfly or bird can, you know, pass through the green corridors and land in the nest at Malabar Hill. You know.
That's really
So that's what
wonderful.
she's
I
planning to
mean,
do.
what a sensory experience, to hear the sound of the water,
Yes,
the leaves rustling,
absolutely.
yeah, and the flowers and the aroma. You also created a
Aroma, very
sensory
much.
garden over there.
There's even a musical zone with flowers that look like musical notes.
How nice. Yes, they're very pretty. They're white, and they look like
Yes,
music. There are
you
many
know that,
plants.
right?
Yes, yes. There are many plants which, correspond to music. Like we have the fiddle leaf fig. The
Correct. The leaf
notes, yes.
also.
Musical
Absolutely. Yes,
notes.
yes.
Drumstick.
Drumstick.
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting. So, you have done so many walks in Parsi colony. You also sort of
Yes.
enthuse the people there in Parsi colony. And of course, Parsi colony is in the heart of Mumbai. So, can you tell me what are the activities, you all have done? Because Parsis are very progressive people, that is my experience. Yeah.
Yes, so fortunately, the younger generation now is very proactive.
Mm-hmm.
They are like, watchdogs.
Mm-hmm.
Anything goes amiss, they immediately put it up on our WhatsApp group, and then we take action. We have meetings with the F North Ward office, the, officers, and they oblige. So, in fact, recently, one of the five gardens, I don't know, you must have read about it in the newspapers. One of the five gardens has been reserved as a playground. So,
Okay.
it has been used as a playground for many years. There are no trees there.
Uh-huh.
The trees are elsewhere in all the other gardens.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, while playing cricket, a ball must have hit one of the walkers. So the BMC thought they would put up high nets all around the garden to
Mm-hmm.
prevent balls from going outside.
Mm-hmm.
But then the people did not like this idea because it would mar the beauty, the greenery around, to have those nets. And the most important thing, it would trap birds, while they're flying, the owls and even the bats. There are so many bats, flying
Great.
foxes over there.
Uh-huh.
So we can't afford to have that. So what we suggested is, okay, you have a green fence all around
Mm-hmm.
so that, even if the ball hits the tree, it's gets buffered a bit, the impact. And they have agreed to plant ashwapalo trees all
Okay.
around as a green fence.
What a brilliant idea, Katie. I think,
Yeah,
this is real activism. And Ashok Palam trees, they're so dense. They will quickly form
yes,
a green wall, and they also attract
absolutely.
a lot of butterflies. One of the reasons,
Butterflies,
yeah,
absolutely, that's
so
what I
many
told
butterflies,
them.
yes. And also the
Yes,
seeds are edible, the birds eat the seeds.
yes,
So
yes,
you kill
right.
three things at one time, one shot, I must say. Katie, wonderful job. And Katie, you were also involved with the Rani Bagh. Rani Bagh, our zoo, very, very old, full of
Right.
trees and, such a beautiful place. So how did you start that? How did you get into conserving Rani Bagh and what happened? Why did it need conservation?
It's a long story which began
I'm all
again
ears.
from
Briefly,
BNH.
of
It
course.
began with BNHS, where we met
Mhm.
like-minded friends, the same friends. And one of our friends, who you must have heard, who Dr. Rustam from,
Yes,
she
of
was
course.
staying in Vaikala, very close to the zoo, and she always thought, I mean, she appreciated the zoo because of its greenery. She would take her children there. So one fine day, we were alarmed by what we read in the newspaper. The BMC was planning to convert Ranibang into a world-class zoo, which was fine. But their plan was, to make it something like the Singapore Zoo, to have a savanna somewhere, to have a lake for flamingos somewhere, and to have a tropical forest somewhere. But
Mhm.
all those artificial habitats, to create them, what we realized was would involve a lot of digging, and the digging would definitely damage the roots of the trees. There are so many beautiful trees which are centenarians, heritage trees,
Yes.
and definitely it would damage their roots and that would destroy the trees. So that is when we started, you know, trying to convince the BMC to change their plan, to come up with some other plan. And it involved a lot of activities. We used to file RTIs to find out, more about the plans. We used to meet quite a few officials, Mr. Suktankar, Mr. Kale, and even people like Firoza Godrej and Dr. Ramani from BNHS and Bittu Sehgal. They all supported us in this. They agreed with us. And finally, we managed to have our way. But it's not the end of the story. Even till today, two of our Ranibagh group members,
Mhm.
Dakshi Rustamram and Shubhada Nikage, visit this place every week,
Oh,
you know,
amazing,
to make
amazing. I mean, so
keep
much
a
of
check
monitoring going
on.
on. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
And in the process, they have planted new trees. We began the process of naming the trees, and they have continued naming the trees. We have even recently created an app. You must have heard of it.
Yes, yes, of
That
course.
app is amazing. Wherever you may be, even out of the country, you can still look up on the app, where is this particular tree, what is its location, and more information about that tree in Ranibagh.
Acha,
So,
wonderful. And connected with people who were deeply involved, like Firoza Godrej and Bittu Sehgal, who are very much into conservation. And it's so
yes,
nice, when you reach out to people and they hold your hand. I think that's wonderful.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
we cannot do anything on our own. And, you've formed a
We can't.
whole
Yes,
ecology of people working together.
right.
Yeah, I can
We got the full
imagine.
support of BNHS. Yes,
Absolutely, BNHS supported, and also the Bombay Municipal Corporation agreed and understood
agreed.
the gravity of
Yes,
the situation. That
right.
is also
Yes,
very critical. Just imagine so
absolutely.
many beautiful trees, and all of them are connected by roots. If you dig in one
That's
place,
what.
you damage. Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't
I know.
understand, but everything is so
Right.
interconnected.
We
Kitty,
don't realize.
yes. Kitty, you have written hundreds of books. In fact, my little grandson, Kian, he calls you Grandma Katie. He says, Katie,
He's
Amma.
adorable.
He simply loves you and your books. So I would like to know, how did you start writing?
Uh, at the same time, when I joined BNHS and we used to go out for the field trips, everything was so fascinating. It was like a window which was open to the world for me. And I couldn't just keep those fascinating facts in my head. I had to write and I had to make stories out of them.
Mhm.
So that's what I did. And then I began just sharing my stories with my friends. And it was my friends who kept pushing me on and said, "Why don't you publish these stories? Why don't you make them into a book?" I began publishing books. My first book was born, and after that, there was no looking back.
I will actually, so flabbergasted or dumbfounded by the number of books you write. I mean, every time I ask you or I meet you, which is not rare, we meet quite often, you have jumped 4 or 5 books. And it is a great honor, Katie, to write with you.
We
I'm
have written books
very
together.
privileged, that we could write books together. But I tell you, you're
Yes.
phenomenal. Your head really spins with stories, I must say. Amazing. And what's your latest book now? What are you writing now? And your latest project?
Uh, what I'm writing now
Yeah.
is actually a story related to a topic which is very close to my heart.
Yes.
It's about the human elephant coexistence, which is so necessary.
Uh-huh.
There are conflicts everywhere with humans and wildlife, particularly elephants. So my story is based in Assam, in the tea gardens, because the plight of the tea garden workers is a very sorry plight. I saw with my own eyes. They're a secluded colony, and they are the ones who get affected most by raids of elephants because the forests have shrunk and the green corridors are no more. So the elephants are not able to migrate to other forests because they are not territorial. They need to move from one forest to another. But then they get hungry because there's no food on the way, and naturally they will go to the fields to help themselves. And that's when the human, it arouses the anger of the farmers because their entire year's work may just be destroyed in one go by the elephants. So to sort out all this, I'm writing a story. I hope it gets published. Yeah. And
100%. I'm looking forward to your book. And I love the way, and thank you for the insight. You've really given us a good insight into human animal coexistence, as you call it. Most people
yes,
say human animal conflict, but I love
conflict.
the way you've used the word coexistence. That is so
Yes,
critical rather than
it
conflict.
is.
We learn to live with each other.
Absolutely, it is
Yeah.
very essential. In fact, we even have in our Jane Goodall Institute, we have this project of human elephant coexistence. You know,
Yes. Yes, we will come to the Jane Goodall. I also want to know about this football game, football game which you have,
volleyball,
with Jane
volleyball.
volleyball. Yes.
Yes,
Could
yes.
you tell us more about it, the volleyball?
Ah, so it's very interesting. It was started by one person mainly during the pandemic when the TS, the TA state workers didn't have jobs because everything was under lockdown. And the children were at a loose end. Otherwise, they used to attend schools and get free lunches also. So all that was stopped. And physically also, they were undernourished. And one fine day, this particular lady, she's the principal of the school, she decided that these children can, start learning, use this time, this period of lockdown to learn volleyball because she knew a particular person who is the head of the Brahmaputra Volleyball League.
Uh-huh.
And maybe if these children are coached and trained, it will help them physically and it will occupy them in ways better than, bad habits, which would ultimately they
Inculcate
would indulge in.
in, yes.
Right. So they began, she must have given them some phones. She began online training through some volunteers
Uh-huh.
who were volleyball coaches. First of all, they didn't even have a ball. So how do they practice? So they were taught how to make a ball out of rags, out of cloth,
Uh-huh.
and they made their own balls and they started practicing handball and foot kick and whatever the moves are online. And then once the lockdown was over, then they began playing matches And they started getting sponsors from all over, sponsoring different teams in different villages. In these state workers areas, there is no street lighting also, but
Uh-huh.
the sponsors helped, put up lights so that the children could even practice in the evenings after sunset. They helped provide balls and nets, and today they are playing. They've won several championships. They're playing for their state, Assam. So it's gone to a great, higher level, and they feel so empowered. The children, they feel confident. That was the intention.
No, it's really wonderful. I think pandemic, leave alone its bad side, there were many good sides of it. It helped people, especially
Absolutely
online, coaching. This is unheard
right.
of. And I simply
Volleyball, that too.
yeah, volleyball that too. Imagine teaching
Yeah,
sports. And I also love the way, they were taught to make a ball. I think necessity is the mother of invention. This is exactly
invention.
what it
Yeah,
proved, making
really.
children make their own ball, make their own tools, to play. This is
Yeah,
which part of Assam was this, Katie?
in Jorhan, around Jorhan.
Around Jorhan. Okay.
Jorhan.
It's wonderful,
Yeah,
and such an inspiration to people. Many people say, we don't have a bat, we don't have a ball, but,
correct.
you can make these yourselves, find
Yeah,
ways of playing. And that's what we used to do, we used to play with odds and
improvise.
ends. Yeah. And
Yes,
today, we really need a child needs a professional bat. Otherwise, they say we can't play,
right.
It's such a nice story.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm sure, this will, impress and, help people to as rather it'll inspire them. What you just said will
Absolutely.
inspire the young
Yes,
generation. Yes.
correct.
Yeah. So another thing I would like to know, you are into nature walks. You conduct a lot of nature walks, and your special audience are children. You focus a lot on children. But why and what are the walks you conduct, and where do you conduct them?
There, mostly in Mumbai, of course,
Hmm.
and in Rani Bagh, one of them is Rani Bagh. The other place, various places, but in my own area in Five Gardens, and the Nest, which has recently come up. I do regular walks over there also. Yeah, and with children, yeah. So children always need some stories, yeah, to make it interesting and fun and to get their attention.
Uh-huh. And have you had any success stories? I mean, have you inspired children to write? You are an author. Have you inspired other children to write, to be involved with nature, to, become
Yes,
active, activists like you? Have there been any success stories like this?
there have been success stories. There are quite a few. I don't remember all of them,
Uh-uh.
but I do remember one very impressive story. You can say at BNHS we used to have this summer vacation program, biotechnology program. 1 month long program
Mhm.
where those who had completed their 10th grade would come and join, and they could take up, different studies like studies of reptiles or butterflies or plants or whatever. So we had divided them into groups, and there was this one boy who was an albino,
Mhm.
and even his pupils were, you could make out he couldn't stand the sun. And he
Mhm.
was given the project on butterflies.
Mhm.
So he said, I just can't go out in the sun to study
Mhm.
butterflies.
Mhm.
I would prefer to study reptiles because then I can move around in the shade.
Mhm.
So we allowed him to join the reptiles. And this boy not only studied, he became an expert later on at reptiles. His college studies also were put aside. He was more into, learning about reptiles and environment and all that. And he became a great naturalist. His name is Zishan. He won some awards in his new discoveries of new reptiles also.
Well, what a wonderful thing, somebody to convert their disability into a,
Yes,
very
absolutely.
advantageous situation.
Yeah.
I think it's simply nice the way he said, I'll study reptiles rather than
Yes.
butterflies. And he turns out to be an. I met a young, I don't know, a student of yours, who claims you're her mentor. And she says, you are the reason behind her writing and her love for nature. Katyayani.
Oh, okay, of course. Yes,
Katyayani
yes, yes.
Marurkar.
Kagyani
Yeah.
is really cute. Yeah,
Yeah, she's a
absolutely.
huge fan. And I think she's one of your success stories too. One of the many.
Absolutely. Yes,
One of
yes,
the
I
many.
must
Yeah.
definitely. And she's writing now very well. She's won some awards also.
Yes, yes.
I've got
She's
one of her
amazing.
books over here.
Acha, how nice, how
Yes.
nice. So, Katie, tell me about, 90-year-old Jane Goodall. When she turned 90, she decided to go around the world. I mean, that age to travel around the world is not easy. It requires a lot
Not
of grit and dedication, to it. And then she
absolutely.
started with, you started about maritime, work with her, marine work. But why sea? When so much of Earth is over here? Why?
Yeah. First of all, let me tell you one thing.
Hmm.
Today is her 91st birthday. So she's
A
now
very happy
91.
birthday to Dr. Jane
Yes.
Goodall.
Yeah.
Yes, may she have good
Right.
health. She spread her wisdom, to one and all.
Absolutely.
And it was a
Yes.
great
Yes.
honor to meet her, It's something,
Yeah.
which I can never forget. It would
Right.
last me all my life. Yeah. Thank you for telling us. We wish her the very best.
Right. So at Jane Goodall Institute, India,
Hmm.
uh, our executive director Shweta came up with this idea. Why don't we study the ocean? Because, the ocean is completely neglected, although it is a major portion of our planet.
Hmm.
But still, even I can talk about myself, being a Mumbaiker, living on the next to the ocean. I hardly knew anything about the ocean till a few years back when I went for a marine, realized what jewels there were in the little strip of low tide area that went for a walk along. I found slugs and oysters and all kinds of creatures. So children need to know about it. This needs to be incorporated in the curriculum. First of all, the ocean impacts every single individual on the planet, whether they are near the sea or whether they are far inland. Ocean has been a cradle of, you know, civilization, you can say.
Absolutely.
They've been cradle
Yes,
of life
life.
and so much oxygen. Every two breaths we take, one breath we owe to the ocean.
Sure.
Climate is affected by the ocean. There are a number of ways the ocean benefits us. Besides livelihood for hundreds of people, providing protein-rich food.
Yes,
But in spite of all these benefits, we exploit the ocean by overfishing, by dumping it with garbage, you
yes,
know, waste, and not caring about the ocean at all. It is the temperature of the water is rising because of global warming, and it is slowly getting acidified, which is very alarming
yes,
because once the ocean turns acidic, the corals dissolve, anything made of calcium carbonate dissolves. So all the crabs and crustaceans, you know, they cannot they'll get endangered. So we need to know more. And there were traditional practices carried out by the elders in the fishing community long ago, which, all the traditional knowledge has been lost. So using that traditional knowledge and using other aspects of the ocean, children need to learn more about it in order that they can help protect our planet.
wonderful. And in Jane Goodall, I mean, you have really wonderful people you're working with, Shweta and then Nabila. You have so many wonderful people, and I think you all did a wonderful job when Dr. Jane Goodall came here. You are very true. Even I'm born and brought up in Mumbai, but I never knew about the rivers of Mumbai. I didn't know. I didn't even
Absolutely,
know,
yes.
yeah, about the mangroves. It was only much later
Yeah,
that and you
exactly.
have you've written a very outstanding book on mangroves for children, which gained a lot of recognition.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little about that book? Kitty, there's so
Okay, that is
many,
Many
you've done.
Secrets. The book is called Many Secrets of Mangroves,
Uh-huh.
and it was an assignment given to me by Godrej and Boyce.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Amar Deshpande was working with them
Yes.
at that time,
Mhm.
and he was working in the environment cell, and it was his brainchild. But then Firoza Godrej was very happy about it, and I wrote the book, and it was illustrated and beautifully. And even today, many schools, have this book in their libraries. It's for free distribution, and
Okay.
people can read it even on their phones. There
Uh-huh.
is this website. So,
I think that
Godrej
is a good
Mangroves.
service. We always think of money, everything is connected
Yes,
with money, but it is so
correct.
nice to give a book free for children, and
Yeah,
adults to
yes.
read. And I think Amar is a wonderful person. He's a dear friend. And Kitty, I would like a message from you, a message to the young and not so young. What would you tell us on biodiversity, nature, activism? I leave the floor to you.
I would ask them to try and make a difference, like Jane Goodall, every single day, even in the smallest of way. If they pick up something, plastic, for example, they don't use, or they recycle something, or maybe not, open the tap completely. The smallest of ways we can, every single one of us can make a difference to protect our planet. And that is so essential in this time and age, because as people say, we've reached the tipping point,
Yes.
so the future generation are our young ambassadors, and they need to be, aware of the importance of protecting our planet.
Yes, wonderfully said, wonderful. I really learned from you, how we need to coexist with animals. If you see in
Yes,
Bombay, we have such a conflict between human beings and the leopards, but we need to live with
right.
them. We need to give space to them.
Yes,
After all, it was their space. Even dogs. So I see in many
right.
corporate offices where they allow
Yeah,
the dogs to roam. Only they protect them, they vaccinate them, they inoculate them, and treat them so that they do
yes.
not carry any diseases. And also snakes. We
So,
always say, snakes are there. As soon as you see a snake, you want to kill it.
right.
Yeah, but these are things we learn. We have to learn to coexist. Otherwise, there will be no nature. And if there is no nature, we are not there. We are very much part of nature. And
We cannot exist.
we cannot
Absolutely not.
exist,
Yeah.
absolutely not. And it's so nice of you to, give us inspiration about Dr. Jane Goodall. I mean, a 91-year-old lady. I mean, the amazing work she's continuing to do. It's simply remarkable.
Absolutely.
So
Yes,
age is nothing. I think we need to continue to do our work
it is not.
till, the very end. Thank you very much,
Yes,
Katie. It was really wonderful
absolutely.
having you with us.
Right.
And I'm so glad, you could come on my show. And I look forward to having you again because you are an ocean, literally an ocean of wisdom, I would say. So you cannot, this whole amrit we cannot have, in one half an hour. So we need to have you again and again and again on our show. Thank you very much and take care. And I hope to see you again soon, Katie.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for bringing about the awareness. I mean,
Yes.
you two are doing a marvelous job, I must say. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.